Today we're going to make an origami crane, and I first learned how to make one of these when I was living in Japan, and a 5-year-old little girl taught me how to make it, and I've been making them ever since. I love making them, and I know that you can make one too if a 5-year-old girl taught me. So it's really easy, but you have to follow the steps. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our piece of square origami paper and we're going to fold it in half diagonally and make a triangle. And notice I'm taking my time to line up the corners carefully, and I'm pressing hard, and sometimes I even use the back of my fingernail to really get a nice crease. And then I'm going to open it up and I'm going to fold it in half the other way to make another triangle. So, and then, like I said, sometimes I'll use the back of my fingernail, kind of get a nice crease. So now I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to flip it over. This makes it a little bit easier. Flip it over. Now I'm going to fold it in half, like a hot dog bun. And I'm going to crease it nicely. And then I'm going to open it up, and I'm going to fold it in half the other direction. So it looks like this. Now it's going to have 4 folds. Now the next step, I'm going to turn the paper so that the bottom corner is facing towards me, and this is called, it's called a crush fold. I'm going to just take these two sides and I'm going to push, I'm going to kind of crush them in, and then I'm going to flatten this. I'm going to do that one more time because this is a step where a lot of students got confused. So I have my piece of paper and I'm going to flatten this part, and I call it the baby beak fold. Like, here's a little baby bird, and they're crying for food. Feed me, feed me. I fed the bird. Now I'm going to push it down. Okay, baby bird, I fed you. You're done eating. So I'm going to shut you up. All right, so now I'm going to make a little kite fold, but I'm going to keep this open part at the bottom, and I'm going to fold it in. And it's going to look a little bit like a kite. I'm going to go to the other side. And one thing about origami, it's very symmetrical. Often when you do something to one side, you do it to the other side. So here I have my kite fold, then I flip it over and I do the same thing to the other side. That is a very common thing in origami. So I'm going to fold and pressing really hard. You can't see how hard I'm pressing, but I'm getting a nice, trying to get a nice crisp fold. So now I have something that looks a little bit like a kite. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to make a little boat, but I'm going to pre-crease the bottom of my boat, the bottom center of my boat. So I'm going to fold this over, I'm going to press hard, and that's going to be the bottom inside of my boat. So I'm going to make my boat, I have to first open up my kite, and I have to flip up the bottom, and here's the bottom of my boat. And now I have to reverse a fold, and so can you see how I have like a little canoe or a little boat? So what I'm going to do now, I'm done with my little canoe trip, and I'm going to pack up my canoe. I'm going to flatten it. So I'm going to flatten that little kayak or that little boat. And I'm reversing the fold so that I have a little flattened boat. And whatever I do to one side, I typically do it to the other side. So I'm going to flip it over. I'm going to open up my boat. I'm going to set it up by reversing the fold. I'm going to find the bottom of my boat, crease it. I'm going to reverse the fold, and I'm going to flatten my boat. I'm done with my boat ride. This, I can't, sometimes, there we go. Might have to struggle a little bit with that one. Okay. All right, so here I have, it's kind of a diamond shape. And what's going to happen, these are going to end up being the wings. This is the body. And these down here are going to end up being the neck and the tail. But first I have to do one more step before I make the neck and the tail. I'm going to fold in on the bottom loose flaps. I'm going to fold in not all the way to the center, about, I don't know, like 1 or 2 millimeters from the center. You see how I didn't quite fold it to the exact center? Now I'm going to flip it over and do the same thing to the other side. Leave a little gap in the middle. This makes, you're going to have to reverse that fold. It makes it so much easier if you have that little space right there. So now I'm going to flip it over, and I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. And same thing to the other side. So now it looks like this. I'm going to pre-crease. This is going to be the neck and head, and this is going to be the tail. And if I pre-crease it, it makes it easier to reverse the fold. So now I'm going to open up this fold here, and this is called a valley fold, and I'm going to reverse it and make the neck and the head into a mountain fold. So I've gone from a valley fold to now it's called a mountain fold. And to make the head, I just kind of reverse the fold, push it down. The tail, do the same way. I open up this, I flip the tail up, I reverse the fold, and I have my origami crane. Now there's a couple things you can do. It's flat. If I want it to look more three-dimensional, I can open it up. I can grab it near the base, and I can gently pull, and the body kind of fills up with air. And look at that. See, it can just kind of sit. Now I love making these into Christmas ornaments. I put a needle up through the bottom, and I make a loop, and maybe we can do that in the next class. So there you go, your origami crane.